have a bit of a chat today about my last walk and a few thoughts and a few slight concerns about safety for people that are doing these long walks. Even though the organisers of the organised ones are do their best, I think people should have a bit of knowledge and use a bit of common sense, because things I saw on this walk that I've just done slightly concern me. So we'll start from the beginning, and I would like to say that the organisers did a really good job, especially with the food. The only thing I might have as a little bit of a downside is that the signs weren't very big. It was very small. Maybe that was for a reason. Maybe that was because of the locals didn't want big whacking signs up all over everywhere, but it made it very difficult, and it was very easy to miss. And there were some places where there should have been some signs, definite turns, and no signs. And so other than that, that put a bit of a damper on things. In fact, it slows you down. Now, this walk was called the Ponton Plod, so a lot of people would be in the right mind in thinking that it was just a little, a saunter, even though it was a long 27 mile, that you wouldn't have to be doing speed walking, and that's what you got to do. I mean, because people that watch my channel, I know I'm 54, nearly 55, but I am quite reasonably fit for my age. But I can't walk as fast as some of the people on these walks do. And the timing for what you're allowed and what you would expect to get in by does mean that you have got to walk really fast. And I am quite concerned that a few people, because they're trying to get more new people to start doing these walks, because they raise money for the local villages, and sometimes it's raising money for charities, air ambulance, things like that, which is really good. But I do have my concerns about new people that perhaps aren't that fit doing these walks, and thinking that they can do a 27-mile walk when they can't. But I mean, there is a lot of them. There is the options to do the smaller walk, and you can pull out at the checkpoints. So in that respect, if you've had enough, when you get to a checkpoint, you can pull out and they'll take you home. So overall, in theory, it should be safe enough. But I will talk about the experience that I had. If you saw my last video, I really well packed. I always do. I think of everything. I even got a torch in there, and I shouldn't really have needed that, because I should have been back a long time before it got dark. In fact, if I'd got back when it was dark, the race organisers would have shut up and gone home. But I'm the type of person that thinks ahead. I've been looking at the weather forecasts for days, and I set my phone to the area that I was going to, so when I looked at the weather forecast, I could just open my phone up and look at the weather forecast, and it was from that area, not my home area. I took waterproofs, I took warm clothes, I took plenty of my own food, even though it wasn't needed, just in case, because I have had experience of another walk where by the time we got to the checkpoints, most of the food had gone, and what food they had supplied were only like crisps and nibbles and things like that, which, if you're walking a long way, you need some decent food. You need some sandwiches or some cake. And this Ponton Plod, I again say well done to the Marshalls, they'd got some beautiful food and loads of it, and they were throwing it away at the end, so they'd got plenty of food. And I think I must emphasise that people should take a map. I hadn't got a paper map of the local area, and I didn't really want to buy one because I don't walk round there, so I didn't want to spend the money buying a paper map just for one walk. But I have got my sat map, where people that's watched my channel will know, and I took a backup power battery, you know, the ones that charge your devices up again. I took one of them with me, so I would not even have any problem of the battery running out. Not that my sat map runs out. You can have it on all day and it don't run out. So all these walks give you a list of what you should take with you. You know, with just a basic thing, the minimum you should have. And I did notice a lot of people, especially the runners, weren't carrying the mandatory kit. Fair enough, if you're a good runner and you can get around 27 mile in 3-4 hours, you're thinking to yourself, I don't need to carry this stuff. But there's always an accident. There's always an accident waiting to happen. So you never know. And waterproofs is a must. Even on like a day to day. I mean, I'm sat in the summer house, but outside it's sunny. You never know when the heavens are going to open and it's going to absolutely hammer it down. And if you haven't got the right kit, you're going to get cold. And so if I backtrack a little bit, just have a drink of my tea before it gets cold. If I backtrack a little bit to the start of this event, there was lots of walkers, but I think they did the 17 mile because I never saw them again. I had said that I wanted to get round in a hurry because it was part of my training, so I was trying to kind of do it a bit faster. I was aiming for 6 hours, but I was a bit optimistic. The reason was I'd packed my backpack for walking, not running, and even though I did do some jogging, I did find the backpack didn't sit quite right. I'd got things attached to it, and they jiggled about. Normally when you're using a running vest, you don't have anything attached to it. They all go in the pockets. And I put tights on, running tights, so I'd got no, like normally when I'm on a walk I've got walking trousers or shorts with loads of pockets in, so I found it a little bit difficult because I got nowhere to shove stuff. So I kind of went without my extra camera and different things like that, but I didn't take anything out of my safety equipment. So we set off, and I set off at a jog. And I think there was only 5 people that was officially walking. There was 3 more people up just in front of me that was kind of half running, half walking, but they were dressed for running. So I think they was going to kind of run walk all the way around. So by the time we got to the 17 mile cut turn off, we were on our own. All the runners had gone because they're all big fast runners, you know, the ones that do these fell races and do these long ultra type races. So they were gone, and these 3 people in front of me, I couldn't keep up with them on the hills. I don't walk uphill or run uphill, that for that matter, as fast as most people do. I was catching them on the downs, but they were losing me on the ups. So I thought, well, I don't want to expend too much energy too soon, so I let them go. And there was a girl behind me. Hold on, I've got something flying around me. Sorry about that. There was a lady I'll say girl because she was probably, I don't know, probably in her 20s or something like that. So it's just now I'm 55. People look a lot younger than me. So yeah, so this lady, I never asked her a name and she never asked me mine, and we ended up walking most of the route together. She'd got running gear on and she'd got a runner's jacket which was only windproof, I think. I mean, I've got a runner's jacket that's showerproof and it is really good. It takes a lot of rain before it comes in. In fact, I've done a 5k race in the rain, slinging it down, and when I've took it off, other than my shirt being a bit sweaty, but my shirt underneath has been dry. So, but hers I don't think was even that good. She hadn't even got a plastic bag to put her phone in, so it was in a rucksack, in a backpack. She got like a camelback, but a very, very basic one. So she got a water, and it had got one little tiny pocket in the back that she'd shoved a map instructions in. So no room to put anything. So she wasn't carrying anything other than a phone, with no rainproofing for the phone. You'll have to excuse my dog. He's barking again. He's a pain. So fair enough, when we set off it was foggy and very damp. So at the last minute, if you watch my video, my past video on the walk, you'll see me in like a very thin grey smock. Well, that's my race running smock, and I just picked it up as I walked past it at the last minute and chucked it in the van. And when I walked up to register and then walked back for all my gear, I decided that I was going to put it on because it were a bit damp. And after I'd set off, I was a smidgen warm, but there was quite a cold breeze, so I wasn't too bad. So it put me as having two waterproofs. I've got my bigger waterproof that I can fit lots of layers on underneath, and this runner's smock. So I was quite well prepared, and because I was finding it a little bit difficult to run with all the kit I took, I was beginning to think I'd over prepared, and I thought you brought too much. But in the end, I was grateful for everything that was in that rucksack, well, running vest. There was only one thing really that I didn't use, and that was the torch and my waterproof gloves, because my hands weren't cold enough, even though it was slinging it down the rain at the end. My hands weren't cold enough to put them on. But this girl was reading the instructions that they give you, which I mentioned earlier, that they tell you to print off the instructions. And when I was mapping it onto my sat map, I found these instructions very confusing. If they'd have kind of put them in sections, I know they put them in paragraphs, but if they'd have kind of put them in small sections for each individual turning or obstacle that we were to cross, instead of a paragraph was from the start right way through to a main road that we came out on, and there was lots of different bits, but when you read these instructions you thought there was close, because one paragraph, so you thought you read it through that section like that, so you thought that was the section that you was on, all that they was talking about, and it wasn't. It could have been over 4 miles until you'd come out onto a main road. But I'd read these instructions till I was blue in the face, so especially the beginning ones, I could still remember. But I was always rely on my sat map and a paper map if I'm up in the peaks. I thought that I wouldn't have any trouble. All I got to do was follow my sat map, so I was fine. I was happy. And to start with, the sign-in up until we got to the 17-mile markers where they turned off were brilliant. So I'm thinking this is going to be easy. I haven't even got to get my sat map out. But as we continued on the 27, the signs got smaller and less often and non-existent in places. So we got not quite sure how far we'd gone when I decided that I'd had enough of jogging and that I was going to walk for quite a while, and this girl kind of come up behind me and we got talking and we started to walk together. And so when we got to junctions, she started getting her map, her instructions out and reading them, which kind of slowed us down a bit because I don't think she could make head and tails of them from the start, really. But we carried on and we got to this point where it says keep the wood on your right. So woods this side, open fields this side. We're on a fire road. How can you go wrong? Anyway, I checked my device. Yeah, we're fine. We're on track. Anyway, walking along, and we didn't realise, because you're just walking along looking for signs. The road kind of went like this round, and the wood was still on his right, fields were still on his left. How did we know that we had gone wrong? No signs to say turn off, right? Anyway, because I quite regularly pick my sat map up and have a check, we hadn't gone that far when I picked it up and says, we've gone wrong, we're off track. She says, we can't have done. No signs. I says, well, we're wrong. So as we walked back, trying to get us back onto my blue line, she's reading the instructions and saying, well, I can't work out this, but she did say out loud, 4 pylons, electricity poles. And so I looked across this field and could see they looked more like telegraph poles more than electricity poles, but I think they were the old-fashioned electricity poles going across this field. So I looked at my sat map and the blue line went off across a field. And so if I'd been constantly looking at my sat map, if I'd been on my own like I normally would be doing, I wouldn't have gone wrong. But because we were together and we were talking, and it worries you because you could have gone for miles, and if she'd have been on her own, she'd have been miles and miles down that track and wouldn't have had a clue where she was. Anyway, she was a bit sceptical when I said we've got to walk across this field, and she kept saying, no, this has got to be wrong, this has got to be wrong, and she kept reading the instructions. And I says, no, we need to walk straight across that ploughed field, following them pylons. And so I talked her into it and we started walking across, and I saw in the distance some people, and there were people that was behind us at the last checkpoint, because I recognised one of them's jacket. So I says, look, there, we are going right, they're them people from behind us. So then she started to believe that my sat map was telling the truth, and I think then she realised that if she hadn't been with me, that she would have been in a mess. So then she decided she was going to stick with me. But for the next, I don't know, 3-4 mile, it was crossing field after field after field, and they were all ploughed. So it slowed us right down, and it was hard, really hard on the legs. And so that again, how are we going to make it in the allotted time when we're having to slow right down? We was doing a mile in 15 minutes to start with. We're right down to half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour, trying to trudge through these fields. Anyway, my next thought on safety is a lot of these people that's gone out with nothing, some of them hadn't even got water. There was a oldish man that had done, he was on his 100th marathon. So yeah, far enough, he's a good runner. He'd got a vest and a thermal shirt, which in the first mile, when he was with me, he decided to take his thermal shirt off, so he just got a vest. But he was carrying this thermal shirt. Right, I'm just going to go and see what my daughter's shouting about. Back. That was my daughter wanting to know where I was. So, but he wasn't carrying water. He wasn't carrying a waterproof. Any type of food. Anything. I mean, he might have done this route before. I mean, a lot of them I reckon had, so they knew where they was going. Because I don't think he'd even got the instructions on him. He got nothing. Pair of shorts and a vest. That's all. I mean, a lot of people can run 26 mile in a reasonable time, in any weather. And if you know the area, I suppose it's not so bad. You don't feel as vulnerable. But some of the stiles were very slippy. They were covered in green, mossy, slimy stuff. And I slipped and fell. And I didn't hurt, well, I have hurt myself, but I didn't think I'd hurt myself at the time. I did feel me, one of my calves pull a bit. But if it had happened to one of these runners that hadn't even got a phone on them, they're supposed to carry a phone, but you've got nothing. You're relying on people behind you. Now, if you're last, there's nobody behind you, and we walked for miles and didn't see a soul. I mean, lots of miles. It was just me and this girl, and we didn't see anybody at one point, from one checkpoint to the next. So what are you going to do if you've hurt yourself and you haven't even got a waterproof to put on to protect you from the wind, and if it's raining, to protect from the rain? You know, you've got no phone. Contact the organisers. I know there was a sweeper, but you could be in serious trouble before that sweeper got to you, because at our slowest, when we'd really slowed down, just before we got to the just over 20 mile checkpoint, the sweepers were still a mile behind us. They hadn't caught us. So, and we got caught in a thunderstorm, and we couldn't actually find the checkpoint. So we kind of slowed us right down. So my thoughts on this matter of new people doing a lot of these events, just be prepared, because I mean, I overthink everything. I think about every single thing that could happen and take stuff to make sure. I mean, a lot of people hadn't even looked at it on the map. They just took the instructions, not even probably read them beforehand, walked away from that start with them instructions, expecting just to be able to follow signs. And like I said, there was a lot of signs missing. And some of the instructions were a bit funny, because it said at one point, come across, I can't remember exact wording, it was a bridge over a ditch, but it was got like soil on it. It probably was concrete underneath, so they'd put something like grassed bridge or something like that. Turn right, I think they said. Well, and then, or turn somewhere and then turn right. Well, this lady I was with was convinced that the bridge was there, the track went round that, and it came round the trees like that, and there was up a hill, up the side of a field, a grassy path outside of this field, and she was convinced we'd got to go up there. Well, I wasn't, and so I got my sat map out and had a look, and was on the junction of one path going that way and this vague path going up that way, and my sat map needs altering to trail up. I've got it on compass and it kept twitching about wherever I moved. So I says, right, we'll start walking up this hill, and within about five or six steps up this hill, my positioning moved off my blue line, so I knew that it was wrong, but I thought it was wrong anyway. So we came back and went on the path I said, and within a few minutes we could see this gate that it said that we'd got to go through. Now again, if I hadn't have been there, that girl would have been up the top of that hill, and it was a long hill, and then she probably would have gone on carrying on to that with that path. She'd been miles out. So I am really glad that I decided to walk with her. I could have actually not spoke to her and let her go past me, because at the time we was walking up a hill, and like I've said, I don't walk up hills fast. So again, if she'd have had a proper map, she would have plotted it, even drawn it onto the map. She would have seen where she was supposed to be going. And preparation is everything. I mean, 27 miles is a long way, and we were lucky because it said on the forecast to be showery all day, and we'd not really seen any we'd seen some black clouds, but we'd seemed to walk away from them all the time. So we had been lucky that we hadn't been caught in rain before 20 mile, and we could have made it back to the finish at 27 mile. We'd got 7 miles to go, or just a bit less than 7 miles, because this checkpoint was just over. But they'd put an extra checkpoint in. Most checkpoints were at about 7 mile, but the next one was in between the 7 mile. It was 7 mile to the finish, so you got an extra checkpoint, and they were wanting to close early because there was hardly any walkers. All the runners had gone, and they were just sat there, weren't they? So you could understand by 4 o'clock that they were all wanting to pack up. And we got into the checkpoint at just before 4, and it's supposed to have shut at past. So the next checkpoint should have been open for quite a while after that one, but they was wanting to shut. So we could have easily hurried up and walked 7 mile in 3 hours. Even at the slowest, I think it had took us 3 hours to get from one checkpoint to another. at its fastest, we'd been doing it a lot quicker than that. So I'm sure we would have done it, and she wanted to carry on. But I don't think the marshals wanted us to carry on. They were trying to talk us out of it. But in the end, I says to her, it is hammering down outside and you haven't got a waterproof. I says, you can borrow my spare one. But she didn't want to borrow it. And she said she'd be alright. But she wanted to continue. And I mean, 7 miles in the rain and cold, when you're already wet, and I could see that she was shivering, so why not continue, why continue on? But she really wanted to finish it, and I did feel sorry for her because she really wanted to finish the challenge. But I'm not bothered. 20 mile, that was my personal best. I've never walked 20 mile before. Well, 20 odd, it was just over. So that's, happy. And it was part of my training for my ultra, and for another 6 Dales 26 mile walk that I'm doing. So to me it didn't matter. I wanted to get back to the checkpoint, the final checkpoint, the finish, before they closed. Not because I'd got any gear or anything there, but I wanted the soup and apple pie. And we risked going over the time and the finish being short, even though I really think we would have done it. But I don't think that girl realised how much danger she was putting herself in, walking 7 mile in the rain with no waterproof on. So I talked her out of it in the end, and we got a lift back to the checkpoint, and I got my soup and my apple pie. Well, actually, I didn't have the soup in the end. I just had the apple pie because I'd been eating all the way around. But this girl reckoned she'd got a funny stomach, so she never ate hardly anything all the way around, or drank much. She wouldn't have a hot drink at the aid stations, and I could see a disaster waiting to happen. I really could. I mean, you can't keep going in the cold, in the wet, with not much inside you, no waterproof. So rambling a bit now, but I am concerned because I walk in the peaks, and I know how bad the weather can change. I know this was round the Vale of Belvoir, because we came across a view that you could see Belvoir Castle, which I'll put up on screen and show you, just in case you've not seen the other video. And between them 2 trees you can see Belvoir Castle in the distance. But we were still miles and miles and miles away from everybody, a lot of the time. No houses, just fields, just ploughed fields. If anything happened, you know, what are you going to do? So this video really is a warning to new people that are thinking about going on some of these organised walks. Some of them are really, really good, but there is some that fall a bit short in a few places, that you have to be prepared for. You can't rely on anybody else. You've got to rely on yourself. You pack your gear, you take with you, even though it may be a little bit heavy, you take with you everything that you could possibly need. And if you think it's a little bit heavy to walk 27 mile, then you pick a shorter route. And if you're a new person, pick a shorter route to start with anyway, because I picked a 17 miler in the peaks, and the hills were massive. And because I do a lot of running, and I've been doing a lot, if any of you have been watching my videos, I do a lot of gym training, and I've been doing a lot of exercises to strengthen my legs. The hills didn't actually hurt my legs. I was just a bit out of puff on going up a few of them. But a lot of people, some of the runners, were coming in at the same time as the walkers, because they weren't used to trying to run up hills, and there were hills you needed your walking poles to help with. One or two I would have stopped quite a lot of times for rests if I hadn't have had my walking poles to help me up them. So to finish this video, my last words are: research where you're going, plan for all eventuality, and pack for anything that you think could happen to you. I mean, I carry a first aid kit and I very rarely use it. Once I think I had it out for some paracetamol because I had an headache, but it's there, and it's got a foil blanket inside, and if anybody has seen my kit review, the first aid kit's only about like that, but it's got tons of stuff in it. It's not very heavy, it's about that thick. And I always chuck in, as well as the foil blanket that's permanently in the back of my first aid kit, I always chuck in it's like a bag, but it's made of the same shiny material as the safety blankets, space blankets type thing, whatever you like to call them. I quite often call them thermal blankets because they keep you warm. Well, I've got one in the shape of a bag, so you can climb into it, because just the foil blanket that you wrap around you, if it's windy, they flap and the wind gets under it. And I do, when I'm in the peaks, carry an emergency bag. It's like a big thick plastic bag that you can climb into. So I've got plenty to keep me warm, so I can put the foily type one inside the big plastic one, climb into both, and then use the thermal blanket out of my first aid kit to pull round your head to protect you from the weather. So I've got everything I need. So I think that's it for this discussion. So my last words are: be careful when you're out, especially in the Peak District and the Lake District. Just watch what you're doing and prepare.